accept my commands here. All right, so
Let me just set the embed here. 10 minute
all
mark.
right, everyone's gonna hear us doing a little setup for a second here on the stream. I am getting all of the tweets ready to go and whatnot. Okay, so share now. And then on this one, do that and that. Okay. All right, everyone. So the episode is starting here tonight. Just for everyone who is here because they saw the message and not because they knew who was coming on. Tonight is going to be me and my old co-host from the podcast, Mac, is back around. He's going to be here on Fridays now. You might remember him if you listened to the old podcast as the smart one of the two of us. And tonight's guest is Aubrey Cottle, who has doxed himself recently. Kirtainer, the founder of and so many other things that we're going to talk about tonight. All right. And here is everybody on stream. I believe we are live now. Look at that. How's it going, everybody?
Is this normal? Am I doing the thing?
I think you're doing the thing.
Oh shit.
All right, so let's make sure that all the messages went out and that everyone can see it. Oh, look, it did. All right. Okay, and for some reason it did that. Yeah, so anyways, here we are. So, this is something that I was never expecting to have happen. And just over a decade here, I've been asked this wonderful question by people who don't understand Anonymous. So you're just like, you're the founder, right? And it's always posed in a way where it's not even like a thing I can answer no to. It's always just like, yeah, we understand this because there were documentaries you were in. And I've tried to explain that, no, I mean, I understand you can't wrap your head around this, but here's how it really works. And then when you try and describe it existed, it was a smaller group of people. We were doing fun things, a little more trolling, a little more internet hate machine style. And then out of nowhere, I got this thing in my head about doing protests and becoming an activist. I don't know. And a small group of us decided to make a video, and 10,000 people show up. And so I took it off in a direction, and people like Aubrey here, at first didn't appreciate it. They had put in a lot of effort building something, and here I was running away with it.
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of negativity, a lot of harsh words for quite some time.
I have quite the thick skin at this point after having all of them after me for a solid decade now. The first few years were a little harsher than recently. People have kind of gotten to this point where they understand, but it's still definitely been an interesting, wild ride. And for the entirety of this time, I've had just all this information in my head of what really went down in those first few months and how it happened, and so many names of people that I knew had things that were waiting for statutes of limitations and other issues that I couldn't name. So when the press would ask me for more info, like, well, but who did X or Y, I'd be like, just people. I don't know. I never met them. Like I would have to avoid the questions. And when I saw the Atlantic article with Aubrey, I was really happy at the way they had posed it, because they had come to me while they were writing the article as someone they trusted to kind of say whether Aubrey was telling the truth or not about certain things, because they had done articles with me before. And at first, they still had that same problem of, but wait, aren't you like the founder? And I had to again say, no, that's not how this works. There's people who founded things, and it kind of merged, and then suddenly 10,000 people show up because of something that maybe I had something to do with, and there we go. There's my side of things. But there were, I mean, most people don't even realize, like, here's the thing that I want to kind of bring up is, the anonymous versus Scientology stuff, which is where I really come into the picture and where we first meet, in any way where we actually kind of talk. Like, I'd been on your chat a couple times. I'd been on 420 Chan, 4chan, 711 Chan, all of them, right?
Yeah.
But me and you hadn't really interacted until I kind of started to run away with the ball, right? You know?
Yes. Hey, we just got kicked off a party van.
Yeah, you know. Well, that's the thing. So the thing that people don't really understand, especially, you know, maybe 20 people remember this, but there was a channel on a different server, not Party Chan, an IRC channel on an old IRC server, Nintelligent. And on that server, there was the cosplay channel. And that was where a lot of the initial anonymous might want to play around with Scientology stuff started.
There were threads going back to May 2007, and there
exactly.
If you go back, there's actually still comments on back when we used to troll the shit out of Second Life on a blog that covered patriotic Negras and various other such drama of the day. There's a few comments out there that are like, those idiots over at 420 Chan are plotting something against Scientology. Kurt's gonna get his ass raided by the feds.
Right.
I can't wait.
And so, like, talking about a lot of that stuff as this was coming up was really hard to do because I couldn't name anyone or give any sources or anything without outing a lot of stuff that I didn't feel comfortable doing. And so here we are now, you know, way later, and we're at the point where we can talk about, you know, people like Aubrey, who's named himself. And
yes.
You know,
my name was already out there. That's the funniest part. Like, everybody, journalists are really bad at researching.
Yes, they are.
They will go to a primary source and they will not dig further.
It took a long time for me to convince them to start actually printing anonymous sources when I would hand them to them. One of the main reasons I was outed so quickly and people like Aubrey weren't, was even though that, you know, some of them had gotten doxxed, I got doxxed in a way that was so hardcore that they could visit my front door like the next day. And we had this problem in early Chanology where we couldn't get the press to print our side of the fight. Because they'd print, oh, and this horrible thing is happening to this church. And then Scientology would respond with their answer of, yes, these hate crime. And they wouldn't print Anonymous's side of it because it was an anonymous source and they didn't like that. And so when they came to me, they were like, well, can we put your name on it? Because then we'll print your side. And I, of course, didn't really think that was a good idea at first. You know, I'd never done an interview. And so I went back to a bunch of other anons and was like, so what do we do here? And they're like, we really want them to print our side. So, and that was the first time my name actually went into print besides, you know, Scientology's DVD they sent us, the wonderful Anonymous Hate Crimes DVD.
It's funny because Hal Turner was screaming my name and my docs from the rafters. I gave them to him.
I mean,
it's like it never happened.
Most of us had your docs like in late 07 from all of that. And it is what it is, right? So now we're a decade and a half past that. Anonymous has become 100 different things over that decade. And lately it's become this thing that people associate with QAnon. And they are very different, and they are unrelated, and they are totally different groups of people. And while you cannot ever, because of the nature of anonymous, say someone isn't anonymous, because like anyone can use the name, right? You can punish them for using it if you don't like it. And as I understand your resurgence, it is exactly for that reason.
Oh, they ain't taking away my baby. Oh, hell no.
So we end up here with you coming back with a mission. And sure, there's going to be offshoots and 100 other things you do, but you know, where are we going from there? Like, what are the next steps with you? What are you working on? What can we actually talk about?
Well, let's see. Let me think about things that don't involve CFAA violations. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Okay, first and foremost, I am a good boy. Anyway, so biggest thing right now is we need to basically knock out all the supports. You have all of these big QAnon networks. You have all of these aggregators for Q drops and all of this is sort of bullshit associated with it. And then you have the big daddy of it all being 8kun with Jim and Ron Watkins. So the whole thing is, you got to take out the supports. You got to take out all of the outlets they're using for disseminating all of their bullshit disinformation. And then at the same time, you got to cut off the head, which means Jim Watkins got to go. That's pretty much the crux of it. And that's a lot of work.
Is there a place that people can come and actually work with you on this? Is there somewhere that you're sending people who have information? Should they just show up on 420 Chan and interact with the general crowd? Because I don't think that's
okay. Okay. The funny thing about 420 Channers still fucking hate all of this.
Oh yeah.
Like even more so because over time people forgot that I had anything to do with it. So when this news came out, even my own users were out there saying like, "Oh, you're full of shit. Oh, you're a fucking liar. Like, what the hell are you delusional? This is crazy."
Right.
I'm like, here, let me show you this archive.org link from 2007. You might have some thoughts on that one. So as far as places for helping getting information and stuff, we're working on that. We're working on that right now. We're building up a framework of sites, wikis, even an old style board that back in the old insurgency days. Yes, we're going back to basics. So keep an eye on my Twitter, keep an eye on anywhere I have general communication. And when we have stuff ready, you will know. That's the crux of it. Apart from that, it's a lot of small group communication, a lot of just like me going between 10, 20 different groups and just going and organizing. Like it's my Twitter DMs are a nightmare. That's about it.
That's about it. All right. So currently, follow and DM Kirtainer on Twitter if you want to bother him.
Kirtainer. Tanner.
There's no I in it.
I am not a Rubbermaid container.
Kirtainer.
So there are two N's, right?
Yes, yeah. The second N is invisible.
Yes. And that is literally why it's so hard to not say Kirtainer. But here we are at Kirtainer. So, I would love, like, there's the article out there, but everyone in the first episode of my show here kind of saw and heard how I got involved with all of this and where I sort of ran with things with the Chanology stuff and, of course, my old podcast and all that. But where do you originally come from? Because, of course, there's 4chan, there's the starting of 420 Chan, there's certain backroom deals with Moot about which boards you would have and he wouldn't, and there's all kinds of other fun stuff, that I remember from way back when. But, like, yes. Where are you from? How did you appear? What's your role in all this?
Okay, so I was a teenage black hat asshole, pretty much. I was 14 when I got into the dark arts, pretty much. Some kid at a facility I was at. I'm going to say facility. I'm not going to elaborate because that's a whole other story on its own. Noticed my aptitude and rubbed me into cracking university shells for a Dreamcast piracy group. I picked up those dark arts really quickly, realized they had me doing bitch work, and was like, all right, fuck y'all, I ain't no slave. And then just started trolling the internet for fun. I eventually landed on Something Awful, where I was summarily banned for being friends with the wrong people.
Because Lotex was a horrible moderator?
Yeah, because Lotex was let's not get on to Lotex, especially now. Then from there, in the Something Awful sub-communities, there was something called the Something Awful DC Hub and Raspberry Heaven. There were two side-by-side communities, one of which was dedicated to anime, and they had an IRC channel and hub called Raspberry Heaven. This IRC channel was basically the stomping grounds of myself, Moot, before he created 4chan, a bunch of early 4chan administrators, and a bunch of GNAA folk. So that's kind of where it all sort of kicked off. I got well acquainted with all of these people. I was there the first day 4chan was launched live on 4chan.net. A lot of people don't even remember that it was .net before it was .org. That's a whole story in itself. And then from there, 420 chain happened, just as a joke, name registration, because I wanted the fancy email, just like Moot wanted 4chan.net just as a vanity email, and then that kind of ended up taking on a life of its own. After that, so there's an old member of the GNAA known as Jihad, who owned 420chan.net. And he was very upset that I had 420chan.org. And we kind of had a little war over it, and then eventually became good friends. And then the insurgency was born, and now we're here.
Yes, there's a big gap there, where, you know, if I understood kind of 2008 correctly, as it was going on, we moved through January, and the big videos hit on YouTube, and you know, the millions of views and all that stuff on my YouTube there, and we all get called out for what are we doing, like calling for real life protests, and this isn't hacking, and this sounds moral, and it sounds like you guys might actually care about the fight, and everyone comes at us, and you guys all step back, sort of. But all of you didn't actually disappear. Some of you stuck around, just either under different names, or like you were helping, because we could tell some of you were still there. You just weren't sticking your head out, right? Because I felt like you were still there for at least a year before you really disappeared on us.
I was there pretty much until the end of 2008. I also don't remember a lot of the second half of the year, probably because of a lot of fear-induced trauma, because you had the Church of fucking Scientology on your ass. And that's also another reason why we so strongly dissociated ourselves from all of that, because the COS don't fuck around. My pappy, he taught me about the COS when I was a little kid. I knew all about their bullshit. So that probably puts a lot of things into context for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was really fun when I was sitting there in the courtroom against them, and all the pictures of like me sitting at home at my computer through my window from a telephoto lens from like 6 blocks away. Like those pictures they were taking of me, or at work or anything else, were all being shown in court. Like, here he is at his computer, and I'm like, why is me sitting at my computer from 6 blocks away like relevant to what are we doing here? And,
is this a trial for the Church of Scientology stalking me?
That's kind of when I decided, like, okay, we need to completely just get away publicly from this shit. So during the second protest wave on March 15th, 2008, my wife and I, we went downtown to go and check out what was going on, and the people there, a handful of them started recognizing me, and then all of a sudden they're there outside the COS, and these idiots start bowing at my fucking feet. Like they just like start just like, oh my God, and just like literally started bowing at me like I'm a god. And I'm looking up, I'm like, there's a telephoto lens on one of the upper floors, just literally staring me down. This is a very bad thing. I lost it. I lost my shit. I just started just cussing everyone out there, just calling them all just like the most horrible shit imaginable, being like, get away from me, da-da-da. People were leaving the protest. I was like, yeah, you get the fuck out of here. The cops were encouraging us.
Oh God, my camera disappeared. I vanished.
Wow.
That was actually kind of funny.
That was.
Sometimes my USB stack is a little glitchy. But anyway. So the cops actually encouraged us to start a riot because they were so bored. They were just like, oh, look at all these idiots just wasting their time. Like, I'd rather be going and doing something else. You know, if you went and you just started some shit, we'll let you go and act like nothing happened. I'm like, trust me, I don't want these people either, but and also they're from my website, and I'm really sorry about that. And we left.
Okay, folks, we did it. The stream can be over. He said it. He said it.
So
sorry.
Point, there's actually a photo on Flickr. I was so furious at the time that we had a couple of Skype lines going on. And there's a photo that an anon that was at the protest took of me, and I'll share the link later. It's me and my wife, and I'm on my cell phone. And I look fucking pissed. I'm just like on the horn with these guys, like, we gotta kill this fucking thing somehow. What the fuck is this shit show? And then the Epilepsy Foundation thing. I don't want to talk about that. It's a sore subject for me. I'm sorry.
You know,
really sorry that happened.
I was the one that had to deal with the media fallout there, because I already had a bunch of interviews lined up for like that week to talk about something else that was going on with the Church of Scientology that we were doing, and then that happened, and so every question I got was instead, so you did this, and I'm like, nope, not me, didn't do it.
Yeah, if it helps, know that I did it to protect people at the end of the day, because it completely and utterly disconnected us from anything associated with the COS stuff.
Yep.
As far as we were concerned, we were in the clear. The internet hate machine had nothing to do with it. We hate this. We hate this. We're horrible people. You don't want to fucking pay attention to us. And realistically, it worked. It was a terrible idea. We made those plans in kind of a panic, and I really wish that it never happened. But it happened, and I repent. That's about as far as I'll go about that.
Yes. Well, you know, in the end for us, besides, you know, having to apologize to everyone it happened to.
Scientology anyway.
Yeah, that's what we did too. But it also allowed us to, in some strange way, to really talk about the separate groups that existed within Anonymous. And it allowed me to start making the press understand that in the end, Anonymous is Anonymous's worst enemy. And when Anonymous is mad at Anonymous, it doesn't go well. And so it gave us a point to talk about that, although I wish we had a different thing to talk about. But yes, it was very interesting dealing with the early stuff, because as we were trying to deal with IRC at the time, which is the chat system we were all using, and a lot of people still do, although at this point most people seem to have moved over to the new bastard stepchild Discord. I know, God. But anyways, we were all on IRC. Our biggest problem was that a lot of the older Anons, who now disliked what we were doing and all the attention we were bringing to the name, ran the IRC servers we were using. So, you know, we ended up kicked off of Party Chan, I think 3 or 4 times, before they finally just gave up and let us stay. But I think you were one of the times we got kicked off was thanks to you, and you know.
Yeah, I was in full like panic mode for a while. Like, no, this is bad. We're getting too much attention. And like, quite literally, nothing good will come of this. Ironically, a lot of good came of this. So I will concede that I was somewhat wrong, but my heart was in the right place.
It's really hard to navigate that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really hard to navigate that one.
You know,
conflicting.
The hardest thing there was also explaining to people the difference. Like, we've had a lot of trouble over the years explaining to them that no, like if 300 people show up that say they're anonymous, there aren't suddenly 300 hackers around you. There's 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You know? So like they would ask like, well, 10,000 people were on your chat that next day after the video came out. God, what did you guys do? And I'm like, okay, there were 10 really good hackers on the server at that point. 2 that had serious DDoS capability, like serious, like one guy could smash people with 10 gigabit a second from a bunch of Cisco's. And back in 2008, that was actually a pretty large DDoS.
Yeah, I remember hearing at one point they could use the majority of Australia as bandwidth. Serious firepower.
Yeah, the target channel in the IRC there was having a lot of fun. But
and then there was the low orbit ion cannon network.
Yeah, but that was like, in the end, the damage done by hackers during that entire thing was like 10 total people. And everything else was, what else can you do? And it was mostly shit posting or showing up in person. I mean, in all honesty, right?
Yeah, I mean, the shit posting is powerful. It makes people focus on the shit posting, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, wait a minute, everything's fucking busted and down, and what the hell just happened? It's a multi-pronged approach. You need the shit posters to cloak the bad shit. That's how it all works.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned LOIC, low orbit ion cannon there. That was a tool that should have never existed for that group of users.
No.
It was pushed out to users who didn't realize that you didn't want to be running this from your home connection, and we end up with, for anyone who's ever seen the We Are Legion documentary, you end up with Brian Mettenbrink, getting visits and going to jail for using LOIC because he didn't use 7 proxies, no matter how many times we told him to.
No, the whole point was to go take that thing and run it on all of the school computers, and they'll
Right.
think that you're just playing some video game shit because it's fucking Command and Conquer. Like there are layers to this, but yes, it was not meant for what it was eventually used for. And on top of that, we had a bunch of better tools anyway. You had Longcat, Death Star,
right,
all kinds of other stuff.
Right.
And then you have that one tool that becomes the actually famous one, and it's the joke of the bunch.
It did provide good obfuscation for the people with better tools, though. Everyone was so focused on that they didn't even think like there's actual people with real resources behind this.
Yes, yeah. It's a smoke screen layered on smoke screens, layered on smoke screens, and I swear to God, it's going to take like 2 or 3 years before we have all of this shit unraveled.
It is. But now you're here. Now you're talking. Now your face exists. I'm sure you still feel some of the more recent anxiety, that comes from the press finally starting to ask you questions. And
yes.
I mean, how's that going now that you're actually out here?
So, I've had a lot of very recent discussions with people that are asking, so what is it you're doing now? And I laugh. I'm like, okay, so I'll talk about the past, but I ain't telling you anything about what I'm doing now. Like, no. That's not
other than, of course, the
works.
fight with QAnon.
Yeah. Like broad level fight with QAnon. Anything beyond that, no, sorry. No. Talk to me in 10 years, and then maybe.
The statute of limitations for perfectly legal behavior.
Perfectly legal behavior.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm a law-abiding citizen. Again, I know you're watching this, NSA.
I just want to say the chat is the most amazing chat we've ever had here. I love all of you guys, and I too wish he was doing everything you're asking him to do. That would be some good content, but I don't think he's going to.
I forgot to pull the chat up. I should probably do that, but then I'd probably be laughing my ass off instead of actually conversing.
So the chat also mentioned.
No, okay. We're gonna set some ground floor rules here. No, I will not hack your bank and put $1 million in your bank account. No, I will not hack your grades and give you straight A's. And no, I'm not going to DDoS the FBI. No,
I really thought you were going to guess the one they are actually telling you to do.
Yeah,
that.
I was kind of expecting that, honestly.
But so they also brought up HOIC, which was kind of a different code base than LOIC. It was an attempt to actually turn it more into a kind of centrally controlled botnet. So all these users who didn't know what they were doing would be getting the right IPs to hit, like the.
No. Low orbit ion cannon had that too, actually.
Sure, but later versions of it. The early versions at the beginning of Chanology didn't do any of that fun stuff, or at least the ones that the public had. Let's say it that way.
Yes, the public ones.
Yes.
We'll put it that way.
Indeed, there were a lot of other tools being used, but we go through the Chanology stuff, and by the end of it, you and everyone kind of from the old side have either picked the side of joining us and accidentally getting some kind of a conscience and starting to fight things, or deciding you really liked the way it was and we should go away because we're bringing all this attention and making it harder and harder to shitpost. That was kind of how it looked to me.
Well, see, it's a double-edged sword here, because if you look at the timeline of history, some of the people that we really fucked with back in the day were legitimately horrible people. I mean, Hal Turner.
Hal Turner was, I mean, he deserved to go to jail. I mean, I loved everything about what happened to him. I was there for Hal Turner, but at the same time, I was also there for like Habbo and a few of the other, it was kind of random at that point. There wasn't Hal Turner wasn't attacked because of how horrible he was. He was attacked because you could use how horrible he was, and he actually responded. He did not heed one of the very, very strong tenets of the internet: don't feed the trolls.
Yes.
He was so much fun to call.
Yeah. No. So if you can track down a copy of the March 7th, 2007 episode of the Hal Turner Show, I have a copy of it. That episode was when he was just like, you know what? I give up. I'm going to appeal to you, Anonymous. I'm going to appeal to you. We're going to have fun. He spends the first 20 minutes of the show talking about how we were in the middle of trolling him that we were going to have an in real life raid outside his house on 420 weekend.
Yep.
Because of course.
Right.
And in the process, he kind of lost his mind. So the March 7th episode, he spends the first 20 minutes talking about how he's going to buy a suit, a red tie, and an afro, and we're going to show up at his house and he's going to be a Negra just like all of us. Like, it is just 2 hours of the most pure absurdist shit. And then he opens the lines, lets us all call in and do whatever we want. I call in. He asks me a few things about some recent events, like, oh, so you stole my domain names. I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, of course, I'm not going to freaking fall for entrapment stuff. I totally did, by the way.
Right?
Yeah, it was a good time.
And then someone dumps his emails, and we have a lot more fun with that, and find out he's an informant.
The email stuff happened later. That was towards the end of the year. We find out he's an FBI.
Yeah, that was like months later.
Yeah, but on that 420 weekend, there were two of the girls from 422 and IRC that were from Jersey, and they took a bus. They went to his house. They were the only people that showed up there. They posed for photos with Hal Turner. I'm trying to find a copy of the photos. I know they exist. I have the file name, but I can't find it in any of my archives. So we take that photo and we send it to Hal Turner's wife, and say that it was his mistress, and it files for divorce.
Oh no, I vanished again.
Damn cloaking device.
Damn cloaking device indeed. So, you know, when you have a green screen, when you have green filament for your 3D printer, and you're prototyping things like infosec sex toys, you have a real lot of fun with that.
Okay, that is actually kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So all those early stuff, they weren't really like, we weren't going after Hal because he was racist. Him being racist is what made it so easy to go after him, though. It gave us the strange enough, especially at that time, it gave us the higher ground, which wasn't something we normally had on a moral kind of basis, you know, at that point. We were not the moral ones at that point at all.
Oh no! No, we were internet terrorists. And
yeah,
just like Fox News
Proud
said.
of it.
One of the things that I always wondered about, with you especially, but with, you know, that type, and, you know, you mentioned a few others like Jayad and a few of the others that were, you know, around then and are still around, and most of them that still hate me to this day, and that's totally fine.
They're a little softer.
Sure, but I mean, it was a decade of hate. Like, I've been feeling it. I don't mind. I mean, like, the skin is thick. You say what you want out there, baby. Like, I don't care. But, like, in the beginning, I felt it. You know, it took a little bit for me to figure out to ignore it all, right? But there was this point.
In your case, for me, I really softened on it once I realized that you actually were protecting my ass. That... You have my forgiveness completely and utterly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But
a lot of people don't get that, but I do.
Thank you. It was interesting being the punching bag of the media for a while there. You know, with no one else kind of that I could put out in front of the media. You know, even when we did like the documentary with We Are Legion, we went to South by. We had someone else on remotely, and they were masked up, floating head and black background, changed voice. Like there was no one like that was out there like that. And there I'm just sitting up there on stage looking all stupid. And the funniest thing to me about the whole South by thing was there are photos of me up on Getty, and they want me to pay them like $800 for my own picture of myself if I want to use it. And I just, what is wrong with you people? I think if you're the one in the image, you should get a copy of it. I don't know. It's a personal kind of thing for me.
Were there contracts signed?
No, the Getty. So there was the South by Presenter one, and I think in there, then all the media photographers were somehow grandfathered into the. But I still want that stuff. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. There was this time where Chanology was going, and it was a year in, and we're starting to do other ops. You guys had kept doing ops like the one that you don't want to talk about anymore, but other ops had been happening in the background, the old school internet hate machine way and the invasion way, and for the people who liked to call it insurgency and go hang out in that channel instead. But there was a lot of infighting too, but they were all still running ops. But for us, it had been really focused. And then we did Operation Titstorm from kind of our side of things, and it was all us little mortal kids who were fighting Scientology suddenly going up against the country of Australia for something political. And after that, we ended up with this idea that here we are with, thousands of people still paying attention, kind of an army we can sick on a country. And it worked because the law didn't pass when it was going to before we started, and all this other crazy stuff that convinced us to start using it for more political shit, which we hadn't really intended to. Like, the Scientology stuff, as you well know, was accidental that it grew that big suddenly. Like, we didn't realize Message to Scientology was gonna explode. I went to sleep expecting to wake up to 200 views, and it had 1 million when I woke up. Like, that was not intentional, but it goes political.
Yeah, we were all freaking out.
It goes political, though, a year later. And what was the take on your side of it, where I no longer was welcome, so I never saw anything from that side of it. How bad was it?
Oh boy. Like, lots of goddamn moral fags. They're ruining everything. Oh my God, what is this shit? And just like, it got to the point where nobody wanted to have anything to do whatsoever with the whole like internet hate machine things. They're like, it's done, just throw it in a ditch. It's there were talks for over a year after 2008 for me to go and get things going again, because back then I was deplatformed a lot. Pretty much I went through a server a month trying to host that damn thing. So after a while, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I think I'm good. These kids seem to be having fun, and also I probably don't want to go to prison. And all of them, you know what? I'm just gonna pretend none of it ever happened. At that point, like by 2010, even our own staff had no idea whatsoever that there was any involvement on my side. So like I'm getting ready for the Atlantic article. I'm going and I'm recanting tales of a bygone age, and they're all just like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, wait, hold on, hold the phone. I thought that was all this. I'm like, no, y'all don't get it. You can go ask my wife, and she'll confirm it. And yeah, she confirms it. I met her because of the internet hate machine, by the way. Funny thing.
I met my wife at a Chanology protest. So
yeah, it's funny how this all works.
Right.
So yes, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of discord. And then around 2009, 2010, started hearing rumblings about a group called Internet Feds. And from there comes LulzSec. And I was not happy. Holy shit. If I was already stressed out enough about everything that had already happened up until that point, with like you know what, I probably don't want to get arrested and stuff, and all that. Once LulzSec started making noise, I was like,
they were making a lot of noise.
Woo,
They were.
oh boy. They actually got me fired. It took me. I was so terrified after Chanology, that it took me until 2011 to start trying to live a normal life. I finally got a developer job at some shop working on just PHP shit. And 6 months in, the Sony hack happened, the PSN hack. And my bosses at this company, they start, they're kind of curious about it. It's like, everybody in the office is buzzing. It's like, oh my God, PSN's down stuff. I'm like literally staring at the news like, oh no. Next day, I come into work. They call me into the office. So we did. We were doing some looking up on this big hubbub on the internet, anonymous, and basically you're terminated. I'm like, wait, what? I had nothing. I had nothing to do with this. What the fuck are you talking about? And then they literally they're pulling up the insurgency wiki and stuff, and my name's still all over it. At that point, I'm freaking the fuck out. And I go and I just, anything that's left of me, anywhere, any trace whatsoever that ties me to any of this shit, I scrub it all. And just, if you could search me, and within the first 5 pages of Google, you had anything tying me to that shit, I got rid of it, just completely and utterly. And then from there, I hid inside for another 3 years, and it took me another 3 years until 2014 to go and start trying to actually get another real job. So you can say I've had a lot of panic and stress over this whole thing for the last 10 or so years. And it feels good to be out. It really does.
I mean, I'm sorry for some of that.
Hey, change the world. What can you say?
We had some fun. So in the chat, Alcoholic Horn asked about Lulzsec getting nabbed because of HB Gary, and that's not actually, that's not how that happened. HB Gary is kind of where Lulzsec comes from. Our
guys actually, if you remember Backtrace Security, that was a lot of /I people that were really, really fucking pissed at Sabu.
Well,
they doxed him first.
I mean, Backtrace was, everybody knows who that was. And she hated me. I mean, literally, Backtrace Security is the only reason why my Twitter is verified. Like, I didn't deserve a verified Twitter, but they kept setting up fake Gregg Housh accounts on Twitter and then trying to do illegal shit and then reporting them until Twitter reached out to me, who didn't even have a Twitter account, and said, would you please create one that we can verify? And I was like, sure. Cool. Just to get them to stop. But no, with the to answer the HB Gary question, what really went down there with the Lulzsec stuff is those people, especially the kids like the Topiaries and the Kaylas and the Sabus and all the people who everyone knows about now from Lulzsec, they were around the kind of anti-sec kids, the Anoniops kids, and all that other stuff. But they weren't doing too terribly much exposing themselves, in terms of like making a name. And then on a Friday, an article comes out in this wonderful rag, the Financial Times, by a supposed journalist named Joe. Good old Joseph there says that he's talked to an Aaron Barr. And Aaron Barr is going to out all of the anonymous leadership and command and control and all this, and that he had used all of his special techniques and technology to get in, and oh my God, we all think it's hilarious, but also
/Connect.
A channel opens up named Op HB Gary to find out what this guy has done. And in it, very quickly, you see that there's a bunch of hangers-on who are just watching, but it's only about 20 people. It's relatively small. And in there, Sabu's in there, Kayla's in there, I'm in there. Even people like Bear Brown are in there. Like all the kind of names you would know from that time period are in there. And it becomes very quickly decided that the thing that we need is the file. Because he says he has a file with a list of everyone's names. Must be on their email server somewhere. Or, their file server, whatever. What are they? Oh, they're a company that does federal security and application testing to make sure that all... Yeah, no, that should be easy to get into. No federal shit has any security. And what was...
Still true to this day.
What was actually really sad to me was a little side channel was started, and only 6 people moved over there. I was one of them. And in it, we watched them try and get into these servers. And the first break-in was 5 minutes. And it was like, I wanted, like, our side to win that battle, but I also would love once to see someone implement some security. And then the worst one. The worst one was like 3 hours later when they emailed the remote admin from the email server that they had now compromised, asking for the root password they couldn't remember because they were on vacation when the guy wasn't even on vacation, and the guy just emailed back a temporary root password to the server for rootkit.com. And like, I'm watching all this go on, and as it's going on, the sites start going down. The media starts reporting on, wait, this Aaron Barr guy who said this. Then we put out a press release like we always did at that time period. And the media went nuts with it. And Aaron Barr was being called an idiot for saying what he said. And, my favorite part in We Are Legion is when he asks me what I think of him. And I call Aaron Barr a moron. And he fades right from that to Aaron Barr stuttering to explain what he was thinking that day. It's my favorite. It's my favorite cut of the whole film. But,
oh, man.
We're sitting there, and as the channel goes on for a couple days of just destroying this guy, these people in the channel start becoming, and Jeremy's in there and a few other people, and they start becoming friends. I mean, they start really kind of feeling out like, of the 800 people who are now sitting in the HB Gary channel, most of them are just watching or asking where to go post links. These are the 5 really doing the work. And, and that's where Lulzsec came from. They moved off from there and decided we're no longer going to be anonymous. We're going to come up with a name, put out a press release saying we're not anonymous, we're this other thing, which they did. And we're the Lulz boat, and we're going to ride for 50 days. And off they went. But I will tell you the strangest thing, and the thing that still blew my mind, and maybe one of them one day will answer to this for me, but on the 3rd day of Op HB Gary, as the weekend was ending, and the list of people, like, I was so doxxed and had done so much media at that point that, like, my social security number was online. My bank number had been posted to your site, like, my routing and everything, like, a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, and I just didn't care. I thought it was funny. No one ever did anything with it. And he had my name and handle wrong in the list, and then he also had my city wrong, and I'm just like, this guy is an OS int guy, like, what? But we're all looking at it, and then a news article comes out talking about the inner workings of Op HB Gary. And of course it was horrible, like, they didn't have any idea of the side channel or where the real work was going on, but they had screenshotted the top of the IRC chat where it had the ops of the channel, the people in control of the channel. And one of those names up there with operator status was Sabu. And so 5 minutes after this article gets posted, he joins the private channel and starts screaming at people. He did not have a Twitter. He did not have a Facebook. He had nothing. And he's yelling at Jeremy. He's yelling at Michael. He's yelling at Topiary, all of them, just as loud as he possibly can. My name better not appear in public again or I'm going to fucking kill you. And, like, the language he's using, and I'm watching some hackers who I actually think have some talent, back down quickly from him. Like, they were scared of him. I now know that, like, they shouldn't have been. I mean, other than when he turned later, but he hadn't turned at that moment. And so he's pissed that his handle had come out in a news article. And he says, if it ever happens again, literally all of your families are going bankrupt and losing their houses. He's just screaming, like, for an hour he rants and then signs off. And, come to about 2 months later, and suddenly he joins the channel and says, hey, everyone, I created a Twitter, follow me. And he becomes the loudest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. I say in the channel, for the solid 6-hour argument, that guy talking on Twitter isn't the guy from 2 months ago. I get convinced, of course, by all these people that no, it's him. We just talked to him on voice chat. I know it's him, same guy. And I'm like, okay, I guess if sure, but it was like unbelievably obvious that this guy had changed overnight, and no one wanted to hear it. No one was listening. So it went
Everyone
on
was
the way
high on Lulz.
It was. Until the end, it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like a lot of fun.
I had that whole bell curve of just like whoosh, fucking fun. I am an invincible god of the internet to, oh my god, I'm fearing for my life. So trust me, I know that feel too.
Yeah, right?
We've all been there.
The one thing that was interesting for us there, especially, you know, as things started to grow and we got more political and ops became way bigger, like government contractors are now getting hit by, you know, supposed anons, right? NATO put out a document that talked about Anonymous's capabilities and how fearful NATO nations should be of it. And we thought that was hilarious.
It's also true.
Right, but at that point they were referring to, like, these 5 kids, basically. They didn't realize that, like, they were talking about, like, this army. And if we had maybe been BTS now, like, 7 million kids you could sick on someone, we would have not still had the power they were talking about. But the old internet hate machine guys and that kind of a crew still had some of that power sitting there. And they were misattributing stuff. And I found it all fucking hilarious, personally.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it. The way I put it to someone recently is one threat actor can be devastating. If you have 10 organized threat actors working in concert, that's a tactical nuclear strike. And that's still the case. And essentially, yes, you have those very, very, very small packs of actually talented black hats, and then thousands of shit posters, and you don't know who the fuck is who, essentially, end of the day. And that's what gives Anonymous its fucking horrifying power. You piss off the wrong person, you know, everybody laughs about it.
That also really bothers me lately is when people try and give, you know, Moot any credit for Anonymous. I mean, I'm sorry, but, like...
Moot does not want any credit for Anonymous.
No, he hated everything that not only you guys did, but that we did, too. Like, there was a point when we were doing the operation supporting the revolution attempt in the Green Armband group in Iran. And we actually ran the forum that they were all using to do all their organizing on. And we had, like, we'd even, like, literally gotten them satellite phones and encrypted communications and stuff over there for them to organize all their stuff. And, you know, necessary shit, right? But we needed some more attention to some of their campaigns. And we went to Moot like, hey, you know, there was a day when you were lucky to get 5,000 users on your site, and then the next day, 1 million people showed up because I linked to it in a video. Maybe just once, could you change the banner on the top of /B for me to link to this Iran op? Because, you know, people are giving you credit for all that shit we did. And he told me to fuck off, in those exact words. And then I went over to the Pirate Bay guys, and they redesigned the entire homepage of the Pirate Bay in green to point at our op. And I was just like, and that's kind of speaking to how much he's actually ever been involved.
Yeah. Let's just say that I don't think Moot actually realized that I was the crux of it. And he gave me a shout out in his retirement stream. You know, we were IRC buddies back in the pre-4chan and early 4chan days. And the moment the internet hate machine took off, and the moment Fox 11 happened, and I saw the people in there all talking about it and being like, I didn't say a word. I just /quit. I just, like, out of embarrassment, because I felt really fucking bad for Moot, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna keep being a fucking internet chaos engine, and I'm gonna stay far fucking away from him. And then we still blamed 4chan for everything.
Of course.
Actually, funny thing, the way that things used to work, we would have a target. We would have fun with that target. And then when we got bored, we would go and take the root login password, go to 4chan, dump it on /B, and in 15 minutes, the whole place is fucking trash, covered in swastikas and spinning horse dicks and whatever the fuck. And then all of a sudden, 4chan would go and get all the media attention for it because, of course, it was all 4chan. It was never 4chan.
No, ever.
ever.
The way I described it to all of the media early on was we would organize something somewhere where you could organize things, and then we would go and make a post on 4chan asking people to show the fuck up to it. But that was the extent of 4chan's involvement in any of the planning of any of these events.
Yes.
So like with the early Scientology stuff, that first post with the big old logo and then the link to get on IRC, all of that was organized for a couple months on IRC and on 420 and a few other places before it ever got posted over there. But people want to say it started there.
Yeah,
And I will say that we had some fun over there. And, you know, we also had some maybe some cheating in the thread where we had some janitors making sure our threads stayed up. But whatever.
Yeah. On top of that, like there were many smoke screens involved. Like for instance, the reason why 420chan was never cited, despite like it being the crux of it all. Almost immediately, I removed the name anonymous from all posts. So instead of anonymous, every poster had a random silly name, and that system is still active to this day. There isn't a single person on 420chan with the name anonymous. The history of that is because anonymous was making a splash, we went and toggled on these randomly generated names because journalists are generally fucking stupid. Would come take a look at 420chan and be like, I don't see any anonymous here. Must not be this place. Move on to the next. On top of that, we also had a background that was a bunch of shock images and stuff that you would have to go and manually shut off.
Yeah.
So anybody that, we tried to make it very unpleasant for outsiders. I'll just put it that way. It worked. So there was no anonymous on 420chan, quote unquote. We were all planning shit on IRC, seeding it on the boards, and then from there, shit would just go and get moved over to 4chan as just a whole layer of smoke screens. And that was how we stayed out of the limelight and how 4chan got all the blame. And then the Eternal September happened. And Moot probably fucking hates my guts now.
Yeah.
I'm really fucking sorry for ruining your life.
Does everyone else love it when he says sorry?
I'm Canadian. What do you want? I apologize for everything. Sorry. God, it comes out. I can't even control it half the time. I think it's genetic.
So we're years into this at this point, and we're all on our side kind of getting political, and we're working hard on, we're working on the SOPA campaign, the PIPA campaign, the ACTA campaign for all the internet freedom stuff, and we're going, and the years keep going on and on and on, and at some point here, and it wasn't just 3 months ago, because like the article came out around then. There was a point sometime 6 months ago, a year ago, like where you started thinking about, I'm gonna actually come out and start doing some more work here, but to get this work done, I'm gonna need to be me. Like,
yes.
Why did that happen? I mean, obviously QAnon is a good spark of it, but there had been other sparks that could have been the thing that brought you forward.
QAnon was... QAnon wasn't exactly where it started. So when Gamergate happened in 2014, I was a very, very vocal proponent of it because I knew exactly what the fuck was going on. I heard early rumblings about it, and I had my eyes on Burger and Fries, which was the off channel for it. So I knew that immediately it wasn't what it was on its face. And I could see immediately, oh shit, they're using my fucking playbook, like literally like almost play for play, the exact same shit that I used to do. So I'm like, this is bad juju. These guys look like a bunch of racist assholes that are just trying to use this as a thing to push far right garbage, and I am totally not here for that. So almost immediately, I completely banned Gamergate stuff. I go to Hot Wheels, and I'm like, might want to not do this. It's probably not a good idea. And, he dismissed it, so on and so forth. It is what it is. And I got to watch as Gamergate just kind of like took the internet by storm. And then all of a sudden Donald Trump happens, which I was warning people about. I was like, y'all, none of you are paying close enough attention to what's going on here. I mean, you're making jokes and thinking this is all a whole bunch of insane internet shit. But no, actually, there's something happening here. Please pay attention to it. Of course, nobody did. Then Donald Trump gets elected, and just more and more years of hell. And then Hot Wheels leaves 8chan.
Yep.
A couple years go by. I try to not pay so much attention to it for the sake of my mental health, because it really fucked me up for quite some time. And then the Christchurch, New Zealand mass shooting, the is it El Paso?
Yeah.
All those mass shootings happen. They start getting 8chan in the press because they posted their manifestos there and were radicalized on 8chan. And I already had a whole bunch of shit happening in my personal life that had me on edge. And it's August 2019. I'm just laying there in bed, just staring at the ceiling like I can't fucking sleep. I'm literally thinking about how all of this is connected to the shit that started back in 2007 in essence. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck have I done? What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? I was beside myself. I reached out to Frederick Brandon, Hot Wheels, and we started talking. And I'm like, you understand that I feel some level of responsibility for everything that you went through and everything you're going through.
And I vanished again. But hold on.
There we go. Okay.
I actually love the glitching. And I would like to say that if I understand things correctly at this point, Hot Wheels does feel bad for how 8chan went after leaving.
Yes, yeah.
There's some remorse there.
There is. The way that he put it to me is, I thought you were a cuck when I was 18, 19. It just turns out I didn't have any experience. You were right, in essence.
But yeah,
felt good to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Right.
Listen to Dad. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. Yeah.
So we're there. All right.
So we're there. We're talking, and I'm like, you understand? I have my own survivor's guilt here, right? And he's confused. He's like, wait, what are you talking about? And I start showing him archives and stuff. And like I show him the screenshot of the Fox 11 report that has my trip code right fucking there. That's another thing that a lot of people don't get, is that Fox 11 report on Anonymous, the whole thing about hackers on steroids, internet hate machine, that wasn't 4chan. 4chan never had an invasion board. How the fuck did 11 years go by?
Well, wait. I mean, it had an invasion board for like, what was it, like 3 days or something? I mean, it was not a blog.
No. That was 7chan.
That was, you're right.
Yeah.
And then it moved.
4chan had a /I, but it was for Oakaki.
Right.
And that's where the confusion came in. But anyway, I start showing him this stuff, and he's like, wait a minute. I downloaded a Chanology IRC pack when I was like 12 years old. I remember half of it. Wait a minute. You're the fucking guy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm the fucking guy. He had a light bulb moment. He's like, wait a minute. Hold, this is fucking insane. So he starts reaching out to all of his press contacts and shit that he was going on about with all the mass shootings at the time. He's like, you guys need to talk to this guy. He's got archives and all of this insane shit. He literally is the person that catalyzed Anonymous. You need to talk to him. And aside from that, there was an author, Dale Baran, who had just released a book, It Came From Something Awful, which he shot, he got really close, he missed. I reached out to him independently because I was like, you know what? You are kind of on the nose with how you go from something awful to image boards to Trump, Gamergate, Trump, to where we are now. But you kind of missed everything. So I'm in parallel. I'm talking with Hot Wheels. I'm talking with Dale Baran. I'm just going and I'm literally doing my own kind of internet archaeology. I'm pulling all of these archive.org links. Like literally there's a map in my mind of obscure shit that literally nobody will ever find on their own unless I were to be the one to give them the domains to go and look at. So I'm pulling all this stuff. I'm sending them links. I go and I pull out my old hard drives because I had them all in a box. Like literally, I have on my desk like 20, 30 goddamn hard drives from back then. I'm not even kidding. Half of them are damaged in the recovery of them, but that's an aside. And they come to realize that I'm not schizophrenic. I am legitimate. I'm not fucking lying. And then he's like, you know what? Can I go and shop this around? I can go and talk to press outlets, see if anybody is interested in buying the story. This was probably October 2019. Nobody wanted to buy the article because you think about it on its face, like I have the founder of Anonymous here. And he came to me and shared all these stories. Like you're going to be like, yo, this guy found a fucking nut job.
Right.
I completely and utterly understood why nobody was going to buy it. And I was just kind of resigned to it. And I'll be honest, I was inching closer and closer to suicide. As every day it was getting harder and harder for me to get up, get out of bed, do my thing. I'm just like, literally, I'm screaming about all this shit going on. Nobody fucking believes me about the past. Nobody's fucking paying attention to me about the now. I don't even know how the fuck I'm going to live with myself. And then George Floyd happens. Immediately, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to fucking try and do anything I can to help with this. So completely disconnected from the anonymous stuff. I'm jumping into live streams. I'm watching all the live video. There's people that have boots on the ground. There's people that are going around doing field medic work that I'm in communication with. I'm relaying police movements and everything to them. We're listening to scanners and stuff. And then all of a sudden, the Minneapolis Police Department anonymous video fucking drops.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait, whoa. And everybody starts just going and blowing up my phone, blowing up my messages. I'm like, I have nothing to fucking do with this. Don't fucking ask me. I
had to answer all those same calls.
Yeah. It was just insanity. And then you had stuff like the police scanner being overrode with chocolate rain. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? This is magical. And then I get a message from Dale Baran. It's like, the Atlantic bought the pitch. They're going to write the piece. I'm like, oh, now they want to fucking run this. I see how it is.
They had called me, and it took 2 hours for them to be convinced that they should actually run the piece. They kept asking me so many questions, trying to back up anything that had been said to them. And it was tough. And then after you had finished the piece, they then sent it to me, called me up, and had me read it with them and make sure that there was anything that I had a problem with. And I'm like, dude, I told you, their fact checking was, they were trying hard to find anything that, they would say wrong.
Yeah. See, and that's what pisses me off. There's currently a war on Wikipedia. They're adding or removing my name back and forth because they think that I'm full of shit. And I'm like, it's understandable, but also you don't understand the amount of fact checking and vetting the Atlantic did on that piece. They're not some 2-bit outlet. I'm not just saying this stuff. I was sharing literal data, like original server backups. I booted up entire server images in VMware, opened them up to the internet, and just sent here, browse it, enjoy. And then you can even cross-verify it with the Wayback Machine to verify that whatever pieces you find there that overlap are legitimate. And they did. There was a lot of research, a lot of vetting and stuff that went into that piece. It is as real can be. So, funny story about when their fact checkers called me up. I suffer from cluster migraines. I get maybe 2 or 3 really bad migraines a year, and I get migraine auras. So if you don't know what migraine auras are, what they are is essentially you start tripping balls. Like literally, you will see colored orbs and patterns just completely covering your vision. You can't really see shit in front of you. Magic mushrooms are a fantastic remedy to cluster migraines.
Psilocybin is wonderful.
Yes, it is. So I have a call scheduled with the Atlantic's fact checker that day. That morning I wake up and I'm like, oh no, it's happening. So I go, I eat I kind of eyeball it, about a half gram of mushrooms. And I start coming up much harder than I expect. And then the Atlantic calls. So I'm on the phone with the Atlantic for 2 hours. They're fact checking and verifying stuff with me. I'm like half in pain, half coming up much harder than I expect, rolling around on my carpet floor, just kind of being like, this is the most surreal moment of my life. As they're asking me about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, and I'm coming up on mushrooms. Oh boy,
that's crazy.
That was a really, really weird.
Here's what I want to do. I want to take a short break because I have to. 1 minute, and we'll be back. And everyone, I want to tell all of you in the chat and all of you viewers out there, for all the ones that are just here for Kurt, that's great. However, I think a lot of you will not be fans of Barrett Brown. And you should all follow and subscribe, because on Monday he's my guest, and you'll love to come in and hate chat with us. So follow the channel. Come on. Anyways, here comes a 1 minute break, and then we're going to come back and stick around, because Kurt will say it when we come back. Everyone, and we are back from a little break there. So I made a promise, and let's see if Kurt goes through with it.
Thug life? What?
No, see, he's not even paying attention to all of you.
Chat, I guess.
You guys are gonna have to hold him accountable for this.
Wait, hold on. Okay. You know what? Just give me 30 seconds. I'm gonna actually open chat. Because, like I said, I didn't want to get distracted early on with chat. So let's see what the fuck is going on here.
Well, now they're saying all kinds of other things, but yeah, there you go.
There's a backlog.
All right, everyone. So Monday's episode is going to be the fun times with Barrett Brown, where we talk about the latest stuff he's doing, and I'm sure most of you will, have strong opinions about all of that. So come on over and give us those strong opinions. But so I believe they all have something they'd like you to talk about or do or say.
Y'all really want me to talk about cum dogs?
There you go. All right, I got him to say it. I mean, that's the best I think I'm going to get out of him, guys.
That was the promise.
That was the promise.
Soon the cum dogs for Satan.
There we go. All right. Everyone make sure to clip that and then share it, because he's going to love that. We're gonna use that next time CNN asks if he's like really the founder of Anonymous or something, and I have to say yes. I'm gonna send him that clip. So make sure to clip that one for me. All right. So here we are. We're up to kind of the protests are happening. You're starting to work with people who are in the streets, are at protests, and they are specifically relying on people at home. I mean, I was doing the same thing, relaying the police scanner stuff, locations, even down to like watching, we had 3 or 4 TVs going with all the news so we could see from their helicopters where cops were staging and then saying they're 6 blocks to your left, stuff like that. And so you were working on all of that stuff was kind of where you left off. Where do you go from there?
Yeah. So from there, I'm doing all of that. And then Anonymous gets big in the MSM again. I'm just like, holy shit. Atlantic greenlights the article, all that stuff. And then from there, for a while, I was kind of playing it by ear. I'm a very agile person. If I see an opportunity or an opening come up, I'm just going to be like, whoosh, beeline to it. I had been worried about this Q shit for...
That's also called ADHD.
Yes, it is. ADHD is a blessing, not a curse, for the record. So the QAnon stuff, it's kind of it is just completely and utterly cancerous. We have the COVID pandemic, and I was paying close attention to how QAnon was spreading amongst the pandemic. Everybody at home, everybody spreading conspiracy theories and so on and so forth. And it just goes and it takes every single nutter conspiracy theory imaginable, and in a short span of a few months, takes it all and just democratic Satanist pedophiles are eating children's faces and chemtrails and they manufactured COVID and so on. I'm not going to rattle off every goddamn conspiracy theory because it's too much. It's just too much. But people start actually listening to me about it because it's becoming more and more of a serious threat. I'm like, I understand how all of this works. I mean, they're literally like QAnon, just this whole playbook, psyops, and all this shit, and just we kind of pioneered all of that.
I mean, QAnon started on. I'm going to say this, and people hate it when people say stuff like this, but literally the first few Q posts happened on 4chan, like strange enough, and. Yeah. They were, their names are out there, and I fucking hate them. So, Coleman Rogers, you're an asshole, and Paul Ferber, too, you're also an asshole. Because the posts went big, and they decided, hey, let's jokingly put up a print-to-shirt website and see if anyone buys one of these stupid posts on a shirt. And it sold a bunch of shirts. And the next day, they go to YouTube and convince some YouTubers about the QAnon stuff, and... They literally did it for the first 2 weeks just to sell t-shirts on a damn t-shirt shop that was like print on demand. Like, that's where this started, and what the hell?
Yeah, at this point, you have a whole bunch of opportunists that are just going and being like, oh, hey, now I can run the show. Now I can run the show. Now I can run the show. I can make some money. So on and so forth and so on.
And you end up with Q-Map and Jim Watkins over at 8, and it just, yeah.
Yes, it is a goddamn fucking mess, and fuck you, Jim Watkins, you fucking asshole piece of shit. God!
That is the correct response. That is the correct response.
Yeah.
So,
if I didn't have PTSD before, I definitely would after all this shit is done with.
It had already said you were already there, yeah.
Yeah. I'm working on the shakes one day at a
time. Just for the chat, anytime you guys see my eyes go down here like that, it's because I'm actually paying attention to the chat. So just so you know, that's what that is. Because it's over there.
How long were they just spamming cum dog stuff? Just
like the first 30 minutes.
Since it started, yeah. I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
You people are fucking degenerates. I swear to God.
No, this chat has been wonderful. I love it. This is great.
Fantastic.
Okay,
yeah,
so...
sorry, cum dog is my fault. I
A lot of things are your fault. Let's just be blunt here. So one of the things that we've talked about with, more recent stuff, when you look at a lot of the Trump supporters, the Boogaloo Boys, the QAnons, the alt-rights, the Proud Boys, a lot of this stuff came out of Chan culture from the early days, and a lot of these kids who went off in those directions came from places like Slash Poll and all of that. And in the media, you know, when I've been asked, you know, what happened, how did some of this start here, end there, you know, even the chat has talked a little about how kind of some of it started off funny and then wankers got involved. And the thing I've tried to explain to people to get them to grasp it, which is always hard with this type of a culture, is that on Slash Poll, on Slash B, and on all the other chans, a lot of the stuff, like even the gore, that was, you know, your background for so long, the bad stuff half of the time is posted to convince you not to come back to the site. Like, yes. If you can get past it, then you probably belong on the site. And if you can't get past it, you shouldn't be there, is the point. But that turned into environments where people started getting and thinking, yeah, there you go, that it was funnier and funnier to post worse and worse stuff. There you go, chat. And
there, you have your cum dog. Are you happy now?
And as the stuff kept going, it kept getting harder and harder to the point where most of Slash Poll was people thinking they were joking, talking about Nazi shit and, you know, loving on Hitler. And they honestly thought it was a joke, you know? And then that creates an environment where the racists and the actual people who think, you know, he was a great guy show up and think, no, yes, this isn't a joke. They're saying the truth, and I feel comfortable. And by the end of it, you find an environment where it's mostly them and the rest of us have left, and it starts to lead down all these bad paths. Like, do you kind of agree with that? Is that how you see this going?
Absolutely. I have a very specific term for this. Irony begets reality. You joke about it long enough, and a whole bunch of assholes that think that you're being sincere because a lot of people can't fucking read irony over the internet. It's very hard to convey sarcasm over text unless you're using a whole bunch of italics and a bunch of other flourish and shit. It's like, no. Fucking Slash B is raw as hell. Always has been.
Yeah.
Slash Poll too. Then you end up attracting a bunch of people that think that, oh, I'm amongst people like me. And then they further poison the well, pushing out all the people that are just like, you know, I was just joking when I said Hitler did nothing wrong. I mean, come on now, what the fuck? And this progresses, and you have various waves of further and further radicalization of the audience. And then you get to where we are now, where most image boards are a fucking festering dumpster fire of fucking racist pieces of shit. Considering I'm still in the image board game and one of the longest living survivors, I have a lot of very pointed feelings on this.
Yeah.
Welcome to the root of my fucking PTSD. It is something. Oh boy.
So now we're on the other side of this, and a lot of the culture that the people in the chat here, we're all involved in, has been turned against the world. In ways that aren't our lulzy little, end of the 2000s, the aughts kind of ways, but
we're veterans of the psychic wars.
Yes. They, the internet hate machine was, the word hate there is for everyone else. For us, it was fun. It was entertainment. It was, it was adrenaline hits, every time someone got angry at you. But
I did it for the lulz.
But these days,
just jokes.
These days, we can look back at everything that happened there and realize a lot of the culture that came from that has gone horribly rotten. And you're getting louder and louder about doing something about that.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm being in the image board game, like I just said, I am completely and utterly deeply immersed over the amount of bullshit that is going on in the seedy underbelly of the internet. And I've had it. I've hit my fucking breaking point. Like, just all of you, fuck off. Go fuck yourself. Shut the fuck up and do something. I look and sound fucking crazy right now, but that's how fucking fed up I am. And I am going to take this energy and I'm going to use it in the most productive ways imaginable, and I'm going to fucking destroy QAnon in as many ways as possible, and I'm not going to ever shut up. If you fucking hate me how I am right now, you think I've been annoying for the last 6 months, you better just stay away from me because this is not going away anymore. No, I'm here. I'm back. I feel myself again. And I ain't going anywhere. Unless I go to prison. But then you can have a fun hashtag for that.
You can have a fun hashtag, but I'll tell you, prison itself isn't actually that fun. I didn't enjoy it personally. No. It was not a place I wanted to be. Solitary is kind of boring. And then it becomes not when, there's other people in the room with you that aren't really there anymore because you've lost your shit and your brain is just, inventing things to keep you. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. But,
I was a youth offender quite a lot. I was arrested over 20 times when I was a young boy.
Yeah, shit happens.
Trust me, I know somewhat how it is. I watched the Twin Towers collapse from a jail cell. Do you know how weird that is? And yeah, that's why I joke about it so much.
So, the go forward, like, I always like these things to, like, the last half hour, I want to give people things to do. And I'm sure a lot of the Chan users just are going to do all that on their own and on Discord and tell me to fuck off as per usual. But I love them for it. That's how it should be. But for me, the go forward is doing whatever you can to fight against the disinformation campaigns of the far right, of the QAnons, of...
Report all QAnon posters, ignore all QAnon posters. Just if you see it, report it, block it, call them a fucking idiot loser. I would tell you a whole bunch of stuff to say, but I want to err on the side of PG for a Twitch stream, and some of the stuff that I could tell you to say is very... I
have the mature thing turned on, but obviously, Twitch still does get a little... And this does get uploaded on YouTube the next day, and they're even a bit harsher on their moderation, So
I'm gonna err on the side of caution here and just go.
I would like chat to comment on the fact that he's erring on the PG side of things after showing a cum dog. So those two things don't really match up well for me.
Simulated cum,
right? Yeah. So. So I would say one thing for the audience, just to give Aubrey here a lot of work, is when you find Q sites that maybe people don't know about yet, send them over to at Kirtainer, now that I know how to pronounce it. I won't remember tomorrow. You're going to be Kirtainer tomorrow, but for now it's Kirtainer. Hey, no matter how hard I try. No matter how hard I try, stuff doesn't stick anymore. I'm getting old. But
hashtag ButtSec. Butt security is here to protect your information technology assets from deep penetration. So are you happy now?
Very, actually. I think that's one of the best things ever. So everyone should be sending QAnon stuff along so it can be looked at, figured out, find out who's behind it. I know there's at least one big Q site that's about to get doxxed, and I won't go deeper than that, but this is going to be fun, right?
Yes, yeah. Actually, I wouldn't say about to be doxxed because you should go and take a look through my tweets from last night.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't work last night, so you put it on. Ken is on blast.
Ken is on fucking blast, and it turns out he's also Oath Keepers and
of course
6 and a whole bunch of other shit. And we are jumping right the fuck up his ass right now.
All right. So how much of his fun information is out there besides just his email and his old company? Like, can we call Ken and ask him what he thinks he's doing?
You could probably call Ken. I mean, we found his last 15 places of residence, his entire family, all
so
his
of course
associates.
Don't put that here, but over on Twitter.
Don't fuck with the family. Fuck with the target.
Yeah.
I mean, we're more civilized these days.
I mean, to an extent, yes. I mean,
I gotta play the PR game.
Of course. You want that movie deal, right? I tell you, man, all of that stuff, everything to deal with any of that is cancer. It is horrible. It is not fun. I hate all of it. I mean, I have a book deal like with Amazon that went south because they ended up thinking that you guys specifically, like your type of group, like the old schooler anons, were going to be so mad if the book got published with, I hadn't said anything bad about you guys in it, or doxed anyone or anything. They just were like, you know what? These anon guys have been hacking people lately. And I said, yeah, that's why you asked me to make a book. And so they came to me and said, what if we just ended the deal? And I said, but you owe me money. And they're like, oh, well, we'll give it to you, and then you can also own whatever you've written, and then you can take it anywhere else, and then we never had a deal, please? And I'm like, you think you're that scared of... Okay, sure, whatever.
Money.
And I walked away from it, and I lived like a year and a half off of that while I was just doing a ton of activism. So like my most activist like year and a half of my life, where every day was just focused and I didn't have to worry about shit, was just off of that Amazon book I never actually finished writing.
Meanwhile, I'm broke as hell.
Oh, dude, I've got negative in the bank. God. Like I said, I did activism the whole time. I didn't use the money to like make more money. I'm not smart. Like, no one should ever assume any intelligence. Dude, I have had a negative bank account for, I think, like a decade. Like, it has once broken $1,000, and that really blew my mind. Like, so if anyone wants me to eat, there's a subscribe button, and that would be cool. I mean, I did finally get to the grocery store after a week of wondering where that was coming from yesterday, so that's cool. But, no, I'm really bad at money. I'm just good at being, like, opinionated, loud, and offending, a lot of old school kind of friends.
I have a lot of business initiatives in the works. If you're a venture capitalist and you're seeing this right now, call me. Please, for the love of God, call me. No, seriously, I got fucking money-ass ideas right now. Also, please, if you yes, like Greg just said, subscribe, give him some money, give him some dosh. We all need to fucking eat.
We do. Oh, and yeah, I mean, everyone in the chat talking about fuck Bezos, you are 100% right, and I think that is one of the greatest things I've ever done, because while I might have $0 in the bank now, but I survived a year and a half off of $50,000 of Jeff Bezos's money and gave him nothing, and I own all the output, and like, I mean, I don't know, I feel good about that. Like, when I look back at life, I stole from Bezos and contractually got away with it. So I'm happy. I mean, that was good.
That's good. That's good. That's really fucking good. It's like, I got your money, and we're gonna go and load you up in the guillotine. It's like I fucking win on both fronts. No.
and of course, Gobez in the chat there with the honest truth that Bezos does own this platform, but my choices for platforms that would allow me to survive while doing this are this or YouTube or Facebook. There aren't really many custom platforms that would allow me to do what I'm doing here right now. You want to go program that one, and I will jump off of this platform as fast as possible.
We need to talk later, because I actually do have a platform. I'm not going to get into it, but...
Hey, you're on Twitch too, so you aren't using it yet either, so let's talk.
I like
you like how easy it is over here, because it's got the follows, the subscribes, the tips, the alerts, the Streamlabs integrations. I mean, there's a reason these people are making so much damn money.
We're trapped in a capitalist hellhole. What the fuck can I say?
Exactly that. I mean, right there. There you go. But if you ever wanted to build a platform to fight these people that didn't do all of the bad things that the leaders of these platforms do, I think there's a few people who would be interested in that.
Yeah. So again, call me. Seriously, VCs, please, for the love of God, give me some fucking money. You'll be shocked at what the fuck I can do for you.
Nice. All right, well, if there's any VCs in the chat, I'm sure it's full of them. You all look like the type that have millions.
Millions of cum dogs, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I think there's one or two people from the old Chan days that actually made it into the money. And that's about it, right? I mean, I'm sure some are doing just fine, but like, I remember my first time ever talking to one of the WhatsApp guys, and it was on a Chan, and they sold out for how many billions? Like, there are a few that got there, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, can you tell Sam Esmail to return my calls? He probably thinks I'm just as crazy.
Probably. I mean, he's not working on another project like this.
I know.
I will say, one of the other guys who worked on that project, which was a lot of fun to work on. I mean, I loved working on Mr. Robot. Was like the most fun, and being in it was the most horrendous, like, fun experience I've ever had. Cause
wait.
Season 2, episode 1. I'm in it. Yeah, this ugly mug is in the episode. Like, there's a scene in a bodega where Grace Gummer's character is yelling, or is standing behind someone yelling at the person at the counter, and then she gets up to the counter and starts talking to him about how bad that experience was, wasting my time standing behind her, and I yell at her about, get out of my way, basically. And so I'm sitting here, I've never done any, like, acting. I've been on, like, CNN and shit, but that's not acting. That's people asking you questions that you know the answers to, so it's, like, easy. And also, I mostly hate all those people, so, like, it's easier, because, like, half of these people are just, they're selling disinformation, so it's kind of fun to go on there and tell some truth. But on this one, I walk onto set, and they're like, okay, so here's the thing, because they didn't have a lot of notes for me beforehand. It was a very, like, spur of the moment, hey, you're in town, you want to come do a cameo? I'm like, sure, cool. So I come over, and they sit me down with the person who I'm going to be in the scene with, and they're like, so this is Grace, and it's Meryl Streep's daughter, who learned acting from Meryl Streep. You know that person who has all those awards for being, like, the best actress of, like, all time? Yeah, so, and I've never acted before, so I'm like, oh, great, that's cool. My first time in front of a camera. Okay, got any pointers? Yeah, it's easy. That was the whole pointer. That was it. That was the amount of help I got. So
just be yourself.
I will tell you the most fun of the entire day, though, was I learned about how the extras on set actually work. Because, like, there's the extras who were just on the street. They were like, hey, we need 10 more people. Come sign these releases and you can be in the background. And then there's the extras who were hired to be closer. And then there's the extras who it's like the 4th time they've been an extra and their face is kind of remembered by some of the fans. And one day that character might get a line, right? Yeah. And that actor who's in that position has been waiting for like 5 years to finally have a line on network TV. Like, they want that credit. And I just kind of walk in there having no clue, never having tried this, no talent. And I'm standing there, and there's like 30 extras in the scene with me, and they all hate me. They're all looking at me when the camera's not on. They're all looking at me with these eye daggers, like, this motherfucker should not have a line in this goddamn. And I didn't fully understand it until I walked out, and I asked one of the producers, like, why is everyone looking at me so dirty? And he explained it to me, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, that was dick move on my part. That's funny. And yeah, that was good. But the other guy who was one of the producers on that and did a lot more of the technical side of things and has a lot bigger understanding of all that, and the guy who you would actually want to talk to is a guy named Core, and he is working on some other content like that. And I think it would be good to contact you guys, to put you guys actually in contact.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Honestly, at this point, you're probably just like, oh, finally, God.
Just having like any help with this shit is great. Like, I mean, it's a thing out there that's really weird because on one side you're getting some of your friends who are like, oh, that's cool, you got to go do this thing and like your name's in the press, and then you have the entire other side of it, which is like, I get like 100 DMs a day asking me to come overthrow some. Like, dude, the amount of DMs I've gotten saying I should come help overthrow Nigeria in the last like 6 months, I'm like,
tell me about it.
I'm just some guy who like builds websites and programs a little on the side for money. Like,
I'm not gonna fucking hack the Nigerian central bank and fucking give you $1 million. Like,
we did a hell of a lot of that in like Tunisia and whatnot, but that was a different game because that one was gonna get overthrown. Like when we were like, you weren't in the Op Tunisia stuff, but I'll tell you, man, we were sitting there just one day, a few of us. Me and I think it was like 5 of us, a couple of the old Lulsa kids before everything had gotten too bad, and these Tunisian hackers showed up, just 2 of them. They hopped into one of the anon channels and started saying, hey, we're gonna have a revolution, and we're doing X, Y, and Z. And I was the 3rd person to respond. The first 2 just laughed at them, and I said, no, you're not, and no, you're not. I don't know what this troll is, but I'm busy. And I tried, I kicked one of them out. The other one said, no, listen. And after like an hour of listening to them, they were like, we have all of the passwords to everything. There's not a system in this country that we can't give you access to. And I'm like, well, now that's interesting. And about 20 other people joined the channel in the next hour because, this sounds fun. And they explained to us that there's all these people on the ground that are getting ready. There's already these huge movements in every major city, and they're just kind of, and planning starts going on. And for like 3 weeks, there's tons of planning. And then, of course, well before anyone was ready, the kid sets himself on fire in the central square there, and the fruit cart vendor, and it's on. The next day, it's going. Yeah. There's like hours before everyone's in the streets, but that's a different scenario than what like the everyday ask we keep getting, and it is.
Yes.
It's hard to respond to those people.
Yes, it really is. I'm actually I am much more approachable than most. You wouldn't think it, but I get DMs on Discord, on Twitter, and stuff all the time. It's just like, can you dox this person for me, or can you hack this Instagram account somebody stole from me? And I'm like, okay, first of all, you're asking me to break the law for you, and you're asking me to do it, and you're not offering money. So first off, no. Secondly, you're telling me to do something illegal on a platform that is very much monitored by government agents.
Right.
So again, no.
Right.
Seriously,
that's half the answers. You just said this on a platform that means I can never now do that with you, even if I wanted to.
Yeah. Even on another alias, I wouldn't even try it. Learn OPSEC. Like if that's not an operation, OPSEC, operational security, keeps your ass out of jail.
So in the chat,
look it up.
In the chat, one of the users there, I'm trying to find it again. There it is, Alcoholicorn again. Asked, did we have anything to do with Libya or Syria? And there's an answer to that. As Tunisia was going well at the end, nearing the last couple days of it, Ben Ali was looking to flee to Saudi Arabia, and the people on the ground kind of knew that he was trying to find his way out of his barricades he was behind. The military had flipped to the people and wasn't going to do anything for him anymore. And while Ghonim, the former Google guy in the Facebook, set up the Facebook group, and in that Facebook group, he specifically started asking all of the Egyptians to join to get the Egyptian one up and running, but they weren't joining. And we started talking to him and a few others about, why aren't they joining? What's going on? And I actually went to a mosque local to me to talk to a bunch of people, just to kind of get a feel for, there was my area where I live is very, very multiracial. There's less than 50% white in this area, so there's all hundreds of other countries represented here. It's just it's an amazing area to live. And I end up at this mosque that's full of a bunch of Islamic Egyptians, and I'm asking what's going on, and they explained it to me. They said that everyone is scared of the government enough that they believe that so few people will show up that it'll be 20, 30, 40 people, and that's enough that the government can just kill them and make it go away. It's just black bags, and then they'll go get their families. So they're all scared. So in order to get them to join the Facebook group, you're going to have to do something that makes them think 1 million people are showing up. And we built a botnet and an auto sign-up system, and we actually had a friend at Facebook at the time who turned off some spam protections for a couple IPs that were creating accounts. And we built out, through one of the systems, almost 400,000 accounts over the span of 2 days that joined the group. And then as that started building, real Egyptians started actually joining the group when the numbers started growing.
Yep.
And
that's how botnets on social media work.
And
they're
so
not
we started,
all fake.
Yeah. So we started backing the bots out as it grew, and by the time it hit 1 million, there were less than 20,000 of our bots left in there, and we only had them in there so we had kind of access to really see everything, and everything else was gone. And then the square happens, and Egypt goes a little weird, but in the end they got rid of who they wanted to get rid of. They just now have someone they don't like either. But that's relatively common in African countries as they overthrow people. You can look at Eritrea, you can look at Ethiopia in the last couple decades for more examples of them thinking they were about to have democracy, and then someone steps in. But while that's going on, there's lots of stuff that happens. The internet goes down. We were prepared for that with people in a lot of the major cities having satellite phones. But we were prepared on multiple layers. We actually not only had satellite phones in their hands that had been shipped in from a German company, but we had dial-up internet that was provided by a Norwegian company for free. And we had at least like 6 or 7 people in every major city in the country with old school modems and old hard code old lines connected up just in case. And then worst case scenario, this was the funniest thing of all. One of the anons, it turned out, that was involved with that, one of the older school ones, was actually into ham radio. And he said if they somehow count the phone lines, the internet, jam satellite phones, then ham radios will still work. And he had operators. He had 7.
Get one. Seriously, get your fucking license.
So he had a ham radio operator in every one of the major cities. It was 7 major cities there. And then he had ham operators in Italy, which was the closest in Europe he could get to them, so they'd get the strongest signal to be relaying if it was necessary. Like, it was crazy the amount of work that group of like telecoms people, and that was Anonymous, that was Telecomics, that was Blue Shift, a few of the other groups all kind of coming together to do that. And that, however, started going really south. They started attacking people in the square. Guns came out. The time that the people rode through on the horseback, and it just about halfway through that, as it's going really south, and we have no idea if it's going to win or not. Libya starts to go off. Syria starts to go off, and we are invited by a few people who knew some of the locals in the other 2 countries to come maybe look in Libya, and very quickly walked away. Libya and Syria were going to be trash fires that I couldn't be involved. Like in Libya, the first thing one of the anons that was there was asked was, can you get us guns from like one of the other nations that traffics guns?
Holy shit!
Yeah, and we're just a bunch of kids in like basements or something. Like what? It was actually surprisingly easy to find the gun runners in Africa and then get them willing to give guns. So they did end up doing it. Not like me, but like a group of people did. I was gone by the time Egypt was over and just watched as everything kind of ended badly. To say it lightly.
The moment like actual weaponry gets involved, that's a really good point to just be like, hold up, whoa.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm good. Yeah. I'm done.
I mean, I get, my visits every now and then, and I get yelled at, and I get hauled in front of the media and all kinds of other stuff, but it doesn't need to be for like international gun running or something. Like I'm not involved at that point. The other stuff was interesting because like you have this weird thing where interference rules and our neutrality doctrine that we have here in America has been changed since after that, by the way. So now what we did would be seriously illegal, but when we did it, we were invited by the end of it sitting government. And so as long as whoever was in power at the end of what we did had no complaints for our government, we weren't in trouble. Now that's not the case. Now it doesn't matter if the winners still like us. We still interfered in a non-neutral way. I'm out of that game because it's life in prison.
I consider myself on the no-fly list for multiple countries right now. I'll just put it that way.
I can't visit Canada. I actually have... Oh. My favorite letter is from Canada, and it's like the nicest get out of our country I've ever gotten. Because it says sorry on it in 3 different places. But the line that actually tells me to leave Canada, in all caps in bold, says, "You are now allowed to leave Canada."
I'm so sorry.
It doesn't say get out, but it says get out just in like Canadian. Yeah, it's ugh. So yeah, I mean, with the Syria stuff, with the Libya stuff, like a couple of the hacker kids did stick around, a couple of the anons did stick around, but most of us, like of the about 20 that were there for all of Tunisia, most of Egypt, 2 of them I think stuck around for both of those. The rest of us jumped out quick.
I don't blame you at all. Yeah, no, that sounds like a good time to publicly dissociate yourself, like I did back in 2008.
Yeah, you find those moments when it's time to walk away. But even down to like the other moments with like ops, you know, there's a lot of people that hate how notorious I got in terms of the media coverage and my name getting out there, and then me still being on IRCs. So I left all the IRCs to make sure that like I wasn't there if anything was planned, so my eyes never saw it. Because
I stared at you through the media with the most searing eyeballs for fucking years, and I will readily admit to that, just because I'm like, that motherfucker, that was mine. It was my son of a bitch. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, but
calm down.
I had no answers I could give other than doxing, like you and a couple other people that I wasn't going to dox.
Yeah.
So, like, now that you're out there, this is great. Like, when I got that call from the Atlantic, I'm sitting there like, the first thing I asked the person on the other end was, could you repeat that name? Could you spell that name? And they did, and I was like, okay, so how do you know that name? They're like, we're talking to him. I'm like, no, you're not. And could you verify that for me? And then they said a few things that I knew only you would freaking know. And I'm like, okay, so is he allowing you to print his name, or is this on background? And they're like, no, we're printing his name. And I'm like, are you sure? Did you ask twice? You know?
I'll be honest. If I knew it would be this fucking easy, I would have reached out to you a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's a lot of fun having someone else I can point them at now, you know?
I mean, there's a lot of stories to tell. It's going to be a long fucking time before this is over.
It is.
Let's
but I
put
think
it that way.
The most
and
fun...
there are people that are in as far as I go, I consider myself in the same shoes as you, where I'm not going to name them. I'm I'm not going to fucking out anybody that was there at the beginning that is not comfortable with talking with press. Yeah. Like, that's not how we fucking do it. You became acutely aware that I was like, it's time, I'm ready. And now we're here.
Here we are.
And as time goes on, there's probably going to be more that are like me that are going to be able to finally just be like, oh yeah, no, I was there. I was there with Kurt.
Right.
We're those assholes. So just to be clear, I'm not the sole founder of Anonymous, and I do not claim as such. There are other people that are at my level or just below, so on and so forth. You know, we had a group. It was real. Someday you will know who they are.
Well, it's much like with when I talk about the Message to Scientology video, right? And that kind of kickoff point where Chanology became not cosplay anymore and instead became channel, you know, when it really took off. And people say, well, that's your YouTube. And I'm like, yes, that's my YouTube. But it was a separate account with a separate login until YouTube made you merge your accounts into, like, you know, the whole thing. But it was a group of 5 people. And so when I say, like, yes, it's my YouTube, and yes, I helped write the video, make the video and all that, but it was a group. Just the other 4 people have still remained unnamed because they want it. So, I mean, they literally just don't want me to name them. So I'm not going to. Exactly. At some point, you know, I will say the one thing that has made me the happiest of you coming back out is not you coming back out, but during your AMA, 2 people showed up in that AMA that were actually of that 5 people who made that video. One of them, including the guy who knew how to use Sony Vegas at the time and actually put the video together. And I hadn't talked to them in 8 years because they had just fallen off the face of the earth to go do other things. And we're talking again now, and that's been really great. So thanks for that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of it. Like we've been having a lot of old friends coming back in to chat and say hi, just because like they saw my AMA or they saw a news article and they're like, holy fucking shit. So yeah, it's been a lot of that, a lot of family reunions, and also at the same time a lot of old friends getting back into the shit. And again, I'm not going to name names.
Right.
But oh, shit, I was going to say something. I fucking forgot what the fuck I was going to say.
It happens a lot. You know,
God damn it.
Shit happens. I wonder why that's happening. You know, one of these days I'll learn how to stream and these will get a lot more entertaining. But this is episode 3, guys. So I'm just glad we made it almost the full 2 hours here. And I don't know, my end didn't glitch out. I guess I'm the better hacker. I don't know, you know.
I'm just glad that that my foot hasn't kicked out. You should see my cabling situation here. It is not good. There's an Ethernet cable that if I were to just go and like move my foot in the wrong direction, I would just drop instantly. Yeah, I need to do something about that.
You should. I mean, I found this chair by watching Mr. Beast videos, and it was the chair that Chris was sitting in. And Mr. Beast had the expensive, really nice chair, and everyone else around him had the $5 chair from like the parts bin. And this thing was like $50, and it's actually pretty comfortable for that price. But at some point, if enough people subscribe to this stupid channel, I might actually get a nicer chair. Until that time, I'm sitting in this thing. I like to kind of go out on the chat, and I realize that normally that's more my average friends and viewers and less the 420 Chan crowd, but let's do that anyways. Does the chat have any questions for Kurt? I mean, well, just saying cum dog is not a question. Like, give him a question.
At least add a question mark.
What do you guys got for him?
Basement server. Okay, yeah. So basically, I have a very fat fiber pipe that goes directly into my house, and I basically become my own data center. So 420 Chan and a whole bunch of other shit is actually hosted out of my house.
So if you ever want to knock his Twitch offline, just DDoS 420 Chan and...
Don't do that. Actually, no, I'm not stupid, and I have shit provisions, and they're on completely different IPs too. I have a lot of public IPs. So if they were to do that, they're still not going to knock our main internet off. It's fine. I mean, don't try anyway. I don't fucking play nice when you hit me. I really don't.
All right, come on.
Okay, so next one.
The WGN Max Headroom attack, which I believe you are referring, of course, to the one where it went live and they hacked into the stream. The person who did that has passed away and did not want to get named, but they are now dead. They did live in Chicago, had a lot of fun out there. So yeah, that person's probably never going to get named because the few people who know them have been told very clearly not to. So that's where that ends.
No, I did not separate with my wife. We are still together. Just stop with that uncomfortable question, please, for the love of God.
Thank you. She's in the chat. Like,
yeah, she's literally, you can ask her.
Although, I mean, if it had happened, I would think she'd be in the chat too, just fucking with you more.
I mean, she's a co-administrator of the site.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not awkward at all.
No, I mean, like, what the hell kind of a question is that? I mean, it's a Channer question. It's let's go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hifwe. Okay, you know what? We're going to put this to fucking bed now. This one has nothing to fucking do with the Hawaiian International Film Festival. It was a goddamn typo when Sparto over there was making an update to the rules page in WordPress. And I don't know, something kind of, she was like probably typing it as like, if we, except she typoed, if we walked away to go deal with something and the autosave happened, completely fucking forgot what she was doing. And then we have fucking rule number 2, if we. I did not get raped in jail by an actor in Hawaii.
I mean, why are we laughing about that? That's
This has been 420 Chan lore for, I swear to God, like close to 10 years now. It's over. Hifwe is done. Dead. Finished. Stop it.
You heard it here first.
Oh.
You know, the other good thing about your ammo was we did bring snacks back finally. I mean, it's been a while.
We did. We brought back snacks.
I really didn't think he was going to respond to that.
Like all the 4chan people that are watching, we fucking brought back snacks. I'm serious.
I mean, for some of them, that might be PTSD inducing. He was a bit of a harsh ass.
You're banned.
I believe we all saw that wonderful little image in our time on 4chan.
Yeah, no, we did. What do we have any other real questions here and not fucking 420chan memory, I swear to God, people.
Yeah, I mean, no one's asked for his root password. No one's asked for his address, his phone number. Like, where are the real questions?
I'm not telling you my 5-year plan. No. Like, what the... Yes, I'm going to tell you everything right now.
I mean, I would like to state for the record that I don't believe at all that he has a 5-year plan. I believe he has like a 2-month plan like the rest of us of our type, but
the internet is too fucking chaotic to have a 5-year plan. I mean, look at how fucking COVID literally transformed QAnon from like something into the god of all conspiracy theories. That's not how this fucking works. It's only going to get faster and faster. Right now, you can have a 2-month plan. In 2024, you can have a 5-minute plan because everything is that fucking ridiculous. Come on, be realistic.
All right. Well, I mean, do you have Battletoads is the next obvious question.
Yes, I have Battletoads. I have Battletoads on NES, and I have Battletoads on Xbox One, and holy fucking shit, that is a cringe fest.
But do you have Battletoads for the Wii?
You motherfuckers. No, I don't.
Whatever happened to the guy who swatted you?
Ashok? Oh, boy.
Oh, good old Ashok. Oh, okay, God, I'd forgotten that name. Wow, that guy sucked.
Okay, so yeah, Ashok. Funny thing about Ashok, right? So he fucking swats me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I know who it is. This is who it fucking is. He's in Australia. The news articles even said he's in Australia.
Yep.
That motherfucker had nothing happen to him whatsoever. Then he goes and proclaims himself the leader of LulzSec or something.
Yep.
Goes and defaces some fucking sites. Gets arrested for the defaces. And then gets a whole bunch. He gets the whole reformed hacker victory lap. He gets out of jail and immediately gets a good InfoSec career. And like last time I looked him up, you know, he was doing the InfoSec conference circuit and doing stage presentations. And he has never had to answer for swatting my fucking ass. And you know, Ashok, AUSH0K. You fucking asshole piece of shit. He's the only person that follows me on Twitter from that account, too. Go take a look at his Twitter timeline. It is fucking creepy. He's, like, obsessed with me. I got no chill about this. I have every reason to. Fuck that guy.
I don't think you need to have any chill about that, personally.
No.
So there are...
If I ever go to Australia, I will crash one of your goddamn conference presentations myself.
There are still multiple more questions in there. One from Druid of the Forest asking, should Anons organize more or stay decentralized?
Organize more. Okay. Here we go. Here's a hot button issue. Anonymous is at its best when it's fucking focused on a singular task. When the whole decentralization thing, honestly, was a smokescreen, but it took on a life of its own, and you're all fucking awesome. So, here's the thing. If you want to make shit happen, you need to all be one loud collective fucking roar. If you're trying to do 100 things at once, you're going to have 100 different things with a smaller level of effectiveness. Anonymous's entire power is just that loud collective fucking voice. Remember that. Internalize that. We all go one direction, shit happens. Otherwise, it's just a whole bunch of fucking static. Something you all forgot, and you gotta fucking remember. And that's the answer to that question.
That's a good one to kind of go out on, but But before we're done here, do you have anything else you want to say to people? Things they need to do, where to find you, what you think they should be working on?
Dig into anything QAnon. Try to reach out to people. Steer them away from this fucking mess. Show them the articles. Like, I had a piece that was just published on Mother Jones about how Jim Watkins, the person that is in control of the QAnon trick code, runs ACOOT and so on and so forth, has a very sordid history in child abuse material or marketing towards such. You know, this is a nasty guy. He's trying to leverage political clout right now. It's really gross. It's gross.
It is.
So just do anything you can. Try to steer people away from it. Show them it's a goddamn fraud. Show them that Save the Children is just a stupid bullshit smokescreen hiding behind pedophilia hunting. It's very effective, but the facts are facts. They're making actual people doing the work to stop child predators, they're making their work harder. Don't just try to steer them out of that bullshit. Hit me up on Twitter at KIRTANER. Hit me up on like any social media platform you can find me on. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Keybase. I'm on Facebook. I'm on everything. Pretty much same name, same username everywhere. Easy to find. Just hit me up. Just help with this Q fucking nightmare. I need all the info that I can get. I got a lot of motherfuckers that are really fucking good at what they do. If you give me something that is very important and crucial, I can get it to the right people, especially right now. We can fucking deal with this goddamn nightmare. That's literally all I can say about it. It is fixable.
That is
help me.
Beautiful. So before we all go off of here and get our various dinners and all the other fun stuff after the show, I want to say thanks to everyone who's followed, everyone who's been in the chat for literally everything you've said, and sure, Panda, hail Satan. Of course. Any subs would be awesome, but I also want to say one thing very specifically. This was great, and I think you're probably going to get a lot of stuff done, Kurt, with all of your fighting against QAnon. So I want to have you back, whether it's a few weeks, whether it's a few months, whenever you think you've got enough to talk about that we can go again. I'm sure we could sit here and reminisce for another 10 hours, but
oh, absolutely.
We've covered a lot of the basics.
Exactly. Like we, you know what? Yeah, we can make this a regular thing. Just spend some time talking about horrible hijinks and a lot of stuff that people are probably going to be like, "Oh my God, you did that!" But
we can do an entire episode on NetJester.
Oh, yes, my lovable robot son. No,
indeed,
absolutely. Like, there's going to be big moments. There's going to be big finds that we do, so on and so forth. This is going to be a long fucking road. I am here for it all.
Absolutely. So for the chat, I do not have a Discord yet. I do have one coming. This is episode 3, and I have never had a Discord before. And let me tell you, as someone who's like run IRC servers and all this other stuff my whole life, I still find Discord to be weird. I mean, no matter how good I can be at technology when I put my mind to it, I look at it as this. The first thing that confused me was, you get a server for free, and then your users can pay to make it better if they want, instead of you like paying some monthly fee. Like, everything about Discord feels backwards to me. And so I'll have one up probably early next week. And so on the Wednesday episode, we'll announce it and people can get on and we can do all that fun stuff. And we'll link it to a few others. If you want
to get a hold of me on Discord, it'll probably be through that. So
yeah, exactly. So there we go, guys. Let's see. You should always have 7 proxies. Absolutely 7 proxies. Any more or less is just stupid. I would also recommend that if you VPN, it's always through Iran, as they love to flip off everyone in America who asks them for logs. It's quite fun. All right, everyone, that is the show. We are going to do the outro, mostly for YouTube and all the others. And there it is, The Mask. All right. Thanks, everyone.